Akbar Birbal Story's Best Flowers. One day Akbar was taking a walk in his royal gardens with several courtiers. Many flowers were flowering at that time of season. A poet pointed out towards a beautiful flower and said, "Look Jahan Panar, how beautiful flower that is. No man can produce such a beautiful thing as this." Birbal was also there. He said, "I don't agree with this. Sometimes man can make more beautiful things than this." Akbar said, "Oh no Birbal, you are talking nonsense. This flower is really very beautiful." After a few days, Birbal presented Akbar a very skilled craftsman from Agra. He presented a beautiful carved marble bouquet of flowers. The emperor was very happy to see it, and gave him 1,000 gold coins. Just then a boy came and presented the emperor a beautiful bouquet of real flowers. The emperor was very happy to see it too, so he gave a silver coin to the boy. Birbal said, "So the carving was more beautiful than the real thing." Akbar understood that he had fallen in the hands of his witty minister once again. Full moon, quarter moon. Once Birbal went to Persia at the invitation of that country's king. Parties were extended in his honor and rich gifts heaped up near him. On the eve of his departure to home, a nobleman asked him as how he would compare the king of Persia with his own king. Birbal said, "Your king is the full moon, whereas mine could be like a quarter moon." The Persians got very happy to hear this analogy.
Now Birbal got home and he found that Emperor Akbar was furious with him. He demanded angrily, "How could you belittle your own king? You are a traitor." Birbal said politely, "No, your majesty, no. I cannot belittle you. What I said there meant, the full moon diminishes and disappears onward, while the quartered moon grows gradually day by day. What I, in fact, wanted to tell the world that your power is growing day by day while the king of Persia's is about to decline now."
Akbar grunted in satisfaction and welcomed Birbal back from his journey with a warm embrace. Fear is the key. One day King Akbar said to Birbal, "Birbal, my people are very obedient to me. They love me very much." Birbal smiled and replied, "This is true, but they fear you too, Jahan Panar." Akbar could not agree on this, so it was decided that Birbal's statement should be tested. Next day, according to Birbal's instructions, the king announced that he would be going for hunting, and people should pour a pot of milk in a tub kept in the courtyard. Next day when Akbar returned from hunting, he found that there was no milk in the tub. Instead there was only water. Akbar got very disappointed, but couldn't do anything. Then Birbal said, "This time you will announce that you will come back and see the tub yourself."
King did as Birbal said. Once again the tub was kept in the courtyard. This time when King returned from the hunting, he found the tub overflowing with milk. Birbal said, "I told you. It is your fear which made people obey you. The first time there was no one to check the tub, so people poured the water, but the second time, they knew that you would check yourself, that is why they brought the milk." Just one question. One day a scholar came to the court of Emperor Akbar and challenged Birbal to answer his questions and thus prove that he was as clever as people said he was.
He asked Birbal, "Would you prefer to answer 100 easy questions or just a single difficult one?" Both the emperor and Birbal had had a difficult day and were impatient to leave. "Ask me one difficult question," said Birbal. "Well, then, tell me," said the man, "which came first into the world, the chicken or the egg?" "The chicken," replied Birbal. "How do you know?" asked the scholar, a note of triumph in his voice. "We had agreed you would ask only one question and you have already asked it," said Birbal, and he and the emperor walked away leaving the scholar gaping. Back to square one. As usual, a lot of people were present in Akbar's durbar. A famous astrologer had come from a faraway country. He was talking about the solar system and the Earth's shape. At one point Akbar said, "If the Earth is round, and if one travels straight towards one direction, he will come back to the same spot from where he has started the journey." "Theoretically it is correct," said the astrologer. "Why not in real life?" asked the king. "One has to cross oceans, mountains and forests to keep the path straight," the astrologer said. "Sail through the oceans, make tunnels in the mountains and use elephants to cross the forests." Akbar found the solution. "Still it is impossible," said the astrologer. "Why?" asked Akbar. "It may take years to complete the whole journey," said the astrologer. "Yes. How many?" asked Akbar. "I don't know. Maybe 100 years or more," said the astrologer. "Don't worry, I will ask my ministers. They have an answer for everything." Akbar looked at the ministers. "Impossible to calculate, around 25 years, 50 years or less." 80 days, why Birbal, you haven't uttered a word." The king showed his surprise at Birbal's silence. "I was just calculating the time required to go round the earth," explained Birbal. "And did you get the answer?" asked the king. "Sure," said Birbal, "it will take just 1 day." "Just 1 day? Birbal, it is impossible. Even it will take more than 1 day to cross our country," said Akbar. "It is possible, provided you travel at the speed of the sun," said Birbal with a smile. How Akbar meet Birbal? Akbar loved hunting and used to escape to go for hunting even from his studies. Well, later he became a better rider and hunter than any one of his courtiers. One day when Akbar went for hunting, he and some of the courtiers went so fast that they left the others behind. As the evening fell, everybody got very hungry and thirsty. They found that they had lost their way and now did not know where to go. At last they came to a junction of 3 roads. King was very happy to see the roads that now he could go reach his capital through one of these roads, but which road was to go to his capital, Agra? They were all thinking about it and could not decide it. In the meantime they saw a young boy coming along one road. The boy was summoned and Akbar asked him, "Hey young boy, which road goes to Agra?" The boy smiled and spoke, "Huzzur, everybody knows that road cannot move, so how these roads can go to Agra or anywhere else?" and laughed at his own joke. Everybody was silent, didn't say a word. The boy said again, "People travel, not the roads." "Do they?" Emperor laughed at this and said, "No, you are right."
The emperor asked again, "What is your name, young boy?" "Mahesh Das," the boy replied, and asked the emperor, "And who are you, Huzzur? What is your name?" The emperor took out his ring and gave it to the boy. "You are talking to Emperor Akbar, the king of Hindustan, India. We need fearless people like you. You come to the court, with this ring I will recognize you immediately. Now tell me the way to get to Agra. We have to reach there soon."
Mahesh Das, bowing lowly, pointed towards the road going to Agra, and the king headed on that road. That is how the Emperor Akbar met the future Birbal. Titbits. Emperor Akbar's court was famous for its witty question and answer sessions. On one of these occasions, the emperor asked Birbal if there was anything that the sun and the moon could not see. Birbal's reply was, "Darkness." Akbar was pleased.
Next, he asked what was the difference between a truth and a lie. To which Birbal replied that it was the distance between the ears and the eyes, because what you see with your eyes is true, but what you hear with your ears is generally false. Akbar was satisfied.
Lastly, Emperor Akbar drew a line on the floor and asked Birbal to shorten it without wiping out the ends. Birbal drew a longer line below the line drawn by Akbar and remarked that though he had not rubbed off the original line, he had definitely succeeded in making it shorter. The blind saint. There lived a blind saint in an ashram in the kingdom of Emperor Akbar. He was believed to prophesy the future correctly. Once he had a visitor who had come to treat their niece. The child's parents were killed in front of the girl's eyes. Once she saw the saint, she started to scream loudly, saying that that saint was the culprit. Angered by the girl's words, the saint demanded the couple to get away with their child. The whole day the girl cried, which made the couple to realize that the girl was not lying. Therefore, they decided to seek the help of Birbal. Birbal consoled him and asked them to wait at the emperor's assembly. Birbal had invited the saint to Akbar's court too. Then in front of all the ministers he drew a sword and neared the saint to kill him. The saint in bewilderment immediately drew another sword and began to fight. Thus by this act of the saint it was proved that he wasn't blind. Therefore, Akbar demanded to hang the culprit and rewarded the girl for her bravery for telling the truth even at the critical situation. Back to square one. As usual, a lot of people were present in Akbar's Durbar. A famous astrologer had come from a faraway country. He was talking about the solar system and the Earth's shape. At one point Akbar said, if the Earth is round, and if one travels straight towards one direction, he will come back to the same spot from where he has started the journey. Theoretically it is correct, said the astrologer. Why not in real life? Asked the king. One has to cross oceans, mountains and forests to keep the path straight. The astrologer said. Sail through the oceans, make tunnels in the mountains and use elephants to cross the forests. Akbar found the solution. Still it is impossible, said the astrologer. Why? Asked Akbar. It may take years to complete the whole journey, said the astrologer. Yes. How many? Asked Akbar. I don't know. Maybe 100 years or more, said the astrologer. Don't worry, I will ask my ministers. They have an answer for everything. Akbar looked at the ministers. Impossible to calculate, around 25 years, 50 years or less.
80 days, why Birbal, you haven't uttered a word, the king showed his surprise at Birbal's silence. I was just calculating the time required to go round the earth, explained Birbal. And did you get the answer? Asked the king. Sure, said Birbal, it will take just 1 day. Just 1 day. Birbal, it is impossible. Even it will take more than 1 day to cross our country. Said Akbar. It is possible. Provided you travel at the speed of the sun, said Birbal with a smile.